All right. What an absolute ugly series that was, huh? Who would have thought going into this series that the pitching would have been absolutely outstanding? I mean, we knew what you were getting out of Burns and Eflin, but even the bullpen gave you solid outings. And the hitters just fell flat on their face. What can you even say? It was embarrassing to say the least. Some of the balls that were being swung at, I don't know if these guys were trying to do too much. I never want to say anybody was trying to get out, because you're in the big leagues and you're in the playoffs. You're not trying to get out. But they look so lost at the plate that there's no other excuse for them whatsoever. Like, it was one of the worst, probably one of the worst postseason hitting displays that I may have ever seen in my lifetime. I've never seen a team go to the plate so unprepared, so confused, and just swing it at anything. There's a couple graphics here I want to show. Right, I've shared these on Facebook and I've shared them on Twitter already. But look at this. This right here is balls that we swung at. So there's some really good pitches here. I have zero issues with some of the balls down in the bottom left of the zone, some of the changeups. Great pitches. You know, we see a four-seam fastball here at the top of the zone. That it's a well-located pitch. Not going to complain about that whatsoever. You know, some of these sinkers or these sweepers that are just below the zone there, it's a good pitch from a good pitcher. No issues. I can about promise you that the three fastballs at the top of the zone all went to Anthony Santander. I can about promise you that. But, I mean, we see the ball here that hits this guy on the left-handed batter's box. That's Kowser's ball. We see these two other balls over here, a changeup and a sinker that a lefty had also swung at. Now, these balls are 8 to 10 inches out of the zone. 8 to 10 inches out of the zone. The Orioles as a whole swung at 18 pitches in this series that missed by 6 inches or more. You are not going to win a baseball game. It's impossible to win a baseball game with that kind of offensive approach. We've been, on Twitter at least, we've been complaining for months about the offensive approach. It's been ugly at times. At times it looked okay. We've seen the players come out and defend the hitting coaches. I have no answer for the abysmal hitting display that I watched here in these two games. I watched game one live at the stadium. I caught the tail end of the game two here tonight. And wow. And I'll give you a little backstory. Look, I played in the minor leagues and I couldn't hit worth a damn, but I can promise you I probably would have never swung at some of those balls that were swung at tonight. And that's coming from a guy that couldn't hit worth a damn. So, what happened? You took very good hitters. And we saw it in the first half. We saw it in June. They were hitting at an elite level in June. An elite level against elite teams. And then, I don't know what happened. I honestly have zero answer for what happened. It carried on for months. It was downright ugly. And this graphic here, these were pitches that were taken. These were strikes that were taken in the middle of the plate during an at-bat. Now, there's some good pitches mixed in here. We see some sinkers, some changeups, some curveballs, some fastballs, and a sweeper. Fine. I'm sorry. When you get a sinker belt high or you get a changeup belt high down the middle of the plate and you take it, you are not going to win that baseball game. There is no ways around it. There's nothing you can do after you miss a pitch like that. Because you know why? They all say one thing. You get one pitch in an at-bat. Umpire gets a pitch, pitcher gets a pitch, you get yours. And when you miss a belt-high pitch in the middle of the plate and you just watch it, you might as well just turn your ass back around and go sit on the bench. Because there ain't a damn thing you're going to do to be able to hit their pitch if you're missing that. And that's just downright ugly. That, to me, you can't fix that. You've got to be ready to go up at the at-bat, and you've got to be ready to hit. There's no questions asked. You've got to be ready to hit the baseball. And they weren't. I have no idea what these guys were looking for. Zero clue what these dudes were absolutely looking for at the plate. I wish I could tell you. I really wish that I could tell you. But it was pathetic, to say the least. And I hate even talking about that. Like, I'll admit I'm a little negative sometimes towards certain players. But you know what? When you look at a graphic like that, that tells you all you need to know about the entire series. Tells you all that you needed to know. The approach was terrible. I don't even know if they had one. I really don't even know if they had one. Like, you know, they probably sat there and they watched film, and I'm sure they had a meeting prior to the games, and they're like, okay, this guy throws this, and we're going to look for this, and we're going to do this with it. Excuse my French, but where the fuck was it? Excuse my French. I don't know. It's tough. I'm a Brandon Hyde guy. I'm not even afraid to admit it. And I'm ready for a change. Because when you have things that go on, right? So if this was just like a 2-week thing and they just all got cold at once, whatever. That's baseball. It happens. When this is 3 months and you've got guys who are like, oh, you know, we trust in our hitting coaches, or, you know, and then Austin Slater comes over and he's like, oh, I've never had this kind of, you know, coaching before, and we found this and we found that. I'm sorry, dude. You came over here at 214. You didn't find shit. You can praise these guys all you want. You didn't find shit. You didn't come over here and do what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a left-handed specialist. You couldn't hit lefties. So your word's invalid to me. I'm sorry. Moose, who do I want besides him? I've had this conversation with some friends. Moose is over on Twitter if anybody can't see it. Facebook, for some reason, I'm not getting your guys' chats. I'm sorry. I'm going to read through them here in just a minute. But Moose over on Twitter asks, who do I want besides Hyde? Do I bring up Buck Britton from AAA? My soft answer and my quick answer is no. Buck won with these guys. I'm not afraid to admit that. He won in AA. He won a championship in AA with him. He won a championship in AAA with him. The problem with Buck Britton is nobody knows him, right? He's well known in the Orioles organization. The guys respect him and stuff. Who would Buck Britton bring in as a hitting coach? God forbid if they let go of Drew French here. Drew French got a better job position, and we had to upgrade the pitching coach. Who would be your pitching coach? Because he doesn't know anybody, right? He's only gotten the guys that the Orioles organization have given him. He hasn't done anything himself. I shouldn't say he hasn't done anything. He just doesn't know enough people to go and gather a top-tier coaching staff. That's my only gripe with Buck Britton. Would love the guy. I'm sure the players would love the guy. It's just, you're at a point right now with Brandon. Brandon's been around the game for a while in multiple organizations, and he built a relationship to get some of these guys here. So Buck Britton would basically have to rely on Mike Elias to go find him a staff, not the guys that he wants at a big league level, if that makes sense. That's my only gripe with him is, I mean, do you want Buck to just replace Hyde and then keep the hitting coaches? I want to keep Drew French. I think Drew French, the pitching coach, did a fantastic job with what he had this year. All the injuries in the starting staff, Corbin Burns hitting an absolute wall in August and just being downright awful. He fixed him. They got the cutter fixed. He was phenomenal. Had a 1.20 ERA in September. Drew French is a must keep. Must keep. I don't want these three hitting coaches back next year. I don't want Buck Britton to have to deal with that. That approach sucked, in my opinion. The whole year. Guys trying to hit home runs. Look, Baltimore is built to hit the home run when it's warm. We all know it's balls hot in Baltimore in June, July, and August. The ball flies out of Camden Yards. When it gets cold in September and October, when it matters, those home runs aren't there anymore. They become pop-ups. And you can't take the same hitting approach all year and expect to be able to still hit home runs when it's freaking no longer humid. They made no adjustment, in my opinion, in the last 2 years. We watched it 2 years in a row. They made no adjustment when the humidity went away. Can you still hit home runs here? Sure. You got to hit it. You're not going to get those balls that just barely go over to center field or they barely go over, where the grounds crew sit in right field. It's not happening. We saw Westberg yesterday hit a ball 103 miles an hour. Hit it 398 or 380 or whatever it was. It didn't get out. That ball gets out in June. And that's what I'm trying to say is they didn't make the adjustment. I don't even want to say they didn't make the adjustment, right? So all of the end of August and all through September, they were hitting the ball on a top 5 pace to right field or to left field. So opposite field. So it's not like they were just trying to pull everything for a home run. They still were trying to drive the ball the opposite way. So they had that hitting approach. What they didn't do was cut down on trying to hit a home run. Because you can try to hit a home run in LA because it's fairly warm most of the time. Arizona, same thing. Indoors, down in Houston, it's the same thing. It's the same temperature all the time. You know what you're getting. We all know Maryland weather. She's pissy. She does what she wants. It could be 91 degrees at 10 a.m. and then it could be 75 by 7 p.m. at game time. We know it. We know the thin air here. We know when the humidity is gone, the ball doesn't travel. You cannot continue to swing for the fence when there is no humidity here. The ball doesn't expand enough. And after 2 years of not seeing anything change in September and October, I'm ready. Look, listen, I'm a Hyde guy, but when you're the head honcho and no changes have been made and it's the same thing over and over, eventually it becomes your fault. Eventually. And I feel like most of us are at that point now where we already had our gripes with, some of the pitching matchups and some of the in-game decisions that he's made. Well, now when you're not stepping in and forcing a change in the box for 3+ months, dude, you're hung out to dry there. Nobody can defend you on that. Jake Wilson says, leadership and grown men are a real thing. I literally saw a photo of the Royals celebrating in the focus of Tommy Pham. Yes. That was my biggest thing, Jake, is I was afraid of the Royals because they had Paul DeJong, who's played, 30 games in the postseason? They had Tommy Pham, who's played 20 or 30 games in the postseason. Yuri Gurriel has won, 3 World Series? Will Smith has won 3 consecutive World Series. They had the pieces there to be able to put their arm around Bobby Witt and say, here's how you play in October. Don't change a thing. It's going to get loud. Pitches are going to get a little tighter, but play your game. The Orioles don't have that. They didn't have a single guy. They had Adam Frazier last year. He dabbled in the postseason, a little bit. Corbin's made, 1 or 2 starts. They didn't have anybody. Brandon Hyde's never been in the postseason outside with the Orioles. Freddie Gonzalez has. But, it's just one guy telling you that. It's not your buddy that you sat next to a locker room for 162 games. It sucks, man. Pete, what's going on? Welcome in. All right, let me catch up here on some of the Facebook stuff. I'm sorry. Bullpen pretty much damn awesome September. Kansas City's did. They did. My Yankees fan, Sean, says, what addition to subtraction do you feel make you better for next season? A free agent? I get killed every time I say it. You let Anthony Santander walk. You got to let him walk. You let go of 40 home runs, 90-some RBIs. You invest that money. It's a package thing here. Ryan Mountcastle's got to go. He has value to another team at first base. He's young enough to bring back a quality pen arm. So that checks off a box. You upgrade first base. I don't think they pick up Ryan O'Hearn's $7.5 million option next year, not to be a platoon player. It's just too much money. So you upgrade first base somewhere, whether that be Paul Goldschmidt. I know he's had some down years, but it's a veteran bat. And if you get him here to hit 240 and 20 home runs, okay, that's half the production right there. 20 home runs is already better than Mountcastle and O'Hearn combined, I believe, or maybe close to it. And then you have to upgrade left field. I don't know if they want to bring back Mullins at a $9 million option. I feel like right now you have to, because Kowser's got a lot to learn. Not that I'm saying bench Kowser, I'm just saying he has a lot to learn. So you have Kjerstad and you have Kowser that could play right field, left field, but you got to go out and get some kind of veteran right-handed bat to play the outfield. That's good, I really wanted Lane Thomas at the trade deadline. I thought he would have put this team over the top as a right-handed bat who demolishes left-handed pitching, which we obviously seen that we could not hit left-handed pitching to save our ass. But I feel like you divvy up them 40-some home runs in multiple positions. You don't need to go and find another guy who hits 40 home runs and strikes out 200 times. You divvy this up, and you find two more guys who hit 260 instead of 240 who hit 20, 25 home runs apiece. Voila, you're not losing anything, but you're upgrading on defense. You're saving a little bit of money for the bullpen. Maybe you have that money to throw to Corbin Burns. You got to go find some more veteran leadership. We all love Tony. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely love Tony. I'd love to keep him. I do not think he's worth $25 million a year or $30 that the Dodgers or Boston or somebody like that's going to pay him. That's the only thing. If we got him for 15 or 16, go ahead and re-sign him. We'll deal with it. Upgrade first base and bullpen, stuff like that. But that's what you got to do. You got to go do something. Like Colin said here on Facebook, go get Brent Rooker. I would give up a lot of farm guys for Brent Rooker. I can promise you that right now. Young guy. He's like Jordan Westberg. He plays the game hard. He plays the game right. Would love Brent Rooker. Love him. Love him. Bases loaded, no outs. Can't manufacture one run. Hurt your soul, Allen. Bro, I could pull stats on that all year. And the funny thing was, right, and I pulled stats on this multiple times. With no outs, the Orioles were one of the best teams in baseball. They were hitting over 430 with bases loaded, no outs all year with one out, right? Just one out is the difference. They went from 430 to 117. How does that happen with just one out? We saw time after time after time this year. When the first guy didn't drive a guy in, it was over. And then they were respectable again with two outs. But you're giving away runs when you have a 117 average with bases loaded and one out. You're just giving them away. I can understand if you were hitting sacrifice flies, they didn't have many. If you were doing that, I wouldn't complain. But they weren't. They were popping the ball up, they were striking out, and they were hitting lazy ground balls. No approach. We'll always go back to the approach. It's frustrating. And I wish I could read you guys on Facebook the comments a little faster. Oh, here we go. My bad. Okay. I got to mute myself here. For some reason, my software is not giving me any of the chats from Facebook. Rivori, Gunnar and Adley are stars. We need to play better. 100%, Rivori. 100%. They did not play to the caliber that they are capable of playing. Wixie, does High get fired? I believe so. I do believe so. I know I was just but I was multiple comments with Dan Connolly, the Baltimore Orioles sports writer on Twitter. He thinks I'm wrong in saying that it's time to move on from Hyde. He thinks Hyde deserves a free pass. I get it. I semi-agree with you, Dan. But like I said a little while ago, when things happen consistently for multiple months, it becomes the guy at the top's problem, not anybody else's. Because now it's your job to come in and say, hey, what's going on? You know? Mike, please discuss the Kowser bat we swung. So, Mike, I'll be dead honest with you. So, look, I coach 5-6-year-old flag football. I was still at practice. I was yelling at a bunch of 5-year-olds tonight for not paying attention. I did have a friend of mine to come in and say, guess what happened? And I already knew. I knew something happened with bases loaded, no outs when he gave me that look and said, guess what happened? So I didn't see it personally. But when I go back and look at this here, I showed it a little bit ago. When I look at this and I see the guy with the left-handed bat and that sinker, I know that's Cowser's pitch that he swung at. And that is bad. Because it's not even like it was a slider. You know what I mean? A slider. Was it a lefty? If I'm wrong, was it a left-handed pitcher? I really don't know. I really don't know. But if that was a right-handed guy that threw that sinker to hit Cowser, that's horrific, in my opinion. Absolutely horrific if a right-hander threw that ball and you couldn't see it. And I'm one of the biggest Cowser supporters out there. People make fun of me all the time for it. But that's bad, dude. That's bad. And again, that goes to an approach. Like, you've already got it in your head. And we saw it yesterday with Kjerstad, who swung at a changeup, 8-9 inches outside. You can't... Hitting in the major leagues is hard. It's hard. I'm not even going to sit here and say that it's not. It's the hardest thing to do on planet Earth is hit in the major leagues. A ball that'll run 2 feet, that's only 3.5 inches in diameter with a round bat and make it go straight. It's the freaking hardest thing in the world. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what I'm doing. I played the minors. I sucked. I couldn't hit. I probably do worse than these guys. But you got to be able to pick the ball up. And if a right-hander threw that, and again, I don't know if he did, when you have your mind that made up that you're swinging at a ball coming at your face, that's not a good approach, in my opinion. It's not a good approach. A lot of guys that hit home runs, they guess. And Santander will be the first guy to tell you, I'm a guess hitter with 2 strikes. When he guesses right, he hits the shit out of the ball. When he guesses wrong, it's downright ugly. And the hitting in the major leagues is a lot of guessing because they throw it hard, because it moves so much. You got to anticipate where it's going to be, what it's going to be, and sometimes you just guess wrong. And I'm not discrediting that. Cowser may have just guessed wrong. But, again, goes back to the approach. The guessing game hasn't worked, so scrap the damn thing. Sometimes you just have to grip the bat, adjust your batting gloves a little bit tighter and stand in there like the old school days and just freaking grind it out. Just grind it out. I know one swing of the bat would have changed that entire game. I get it. I really do. If you guess right and one swing changes it, one pitch can change a game of baseball. I completely get it. But sometimes just shorten the damn thing up and poking it the opposite way, or hitting it on the ground in between a second and third, or short and third, and you hustle it out like we watched them do, also can change the game. So not everything has to be a guess and a swing for the fence all the damn time. That's my frustration with that. That's my frustration. Why didn't they pinch it for Reyes? Reyes has hit very well. He has hit very, very well. I really don't think they had confidence in Jackson Holliday to even use him at the plate in October. He was there just to run, and they didn't even use him to run, in my opinion. Horrible hitting approach. Didn't see it. It was almost like they were trying to be bad. Yeah, right. I said that earlier, CR. I don't think they were trying to be bad. It just looked like they were trying to be bad. The guessing was that far off. To me, their analytics failed them. When I watched the at-bats during this season, or not this season, this series, their analytics failed them. They had a plan in their mind. They felt like they found probably a pattern with, how Lugo threw the ball in certain counts. So they felt like they had a pattern from Cole Reagans. But there's a little thing that I think they probably forgot. The Hall of Fame catcher of Salvador Perez. He's not an idiot. He's been to a World Series. He's been around for a very long time. He kind of knows these things. He knows that you're watching film. He knows that you're picking up patterns of what he likes to call, or in a certain situation against a left-handed pitcher, they only throw changeups or something like that. He knows that. So you can have an idea, but you can't go up there guessing at it because you got a Hall of Famer standing right below you. And he's going to change it all up on you because that's how baseball is played. And I feel like they fell into the trap was, okay, we've seen this in film, and this is what they're going to do. Our analytics show us this is what they do in this count. I've pulled it on Corbin Burns before. It was like 85% of his pitches in a 2-0 count were a cutter. Like, if I'm finding that off Baseball Savant, you damn well know these hitting coaches are finding it. And I feel like they probably went and found shit like that. Excuse my French. They went and found stuff like that, and they lived and died by it. And they died because they didn't make an adjustment on it. And Salvador Perez was just sitting back there like, okay, I normally throw a cutter here, or I normally throw a sweeper here, or a changeup here to a lefty. You know what? Let's try a sinker. So now you're looking for an 86-mile-an-hour changeup, and here comes a 94-mile-an-hour sinker, and you go to swing at it and it hits you in the hands. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's why you can't guess. It's why you can't guess. Sometimes you can get away with it. If it counts in your favor, go ahead and guess. But there's just certain points of the game where you just got to choke it up, get you in there, stick your nose to the ground, and grind it out. And find a way to put a ball in play. They just didn't do it. They didn't do it. Wixie says, now that I think Hire will be fired, who do I think he's going to be his replacement? Dude, I have no idea. Somebody mentioned to me earlier about Skip Schumacher trying to get out of the Marlins contract. He didn't do anything special there. I mean, they played hard for him. I don't know. I really don't. You need somebody with experience. I would love Joe Madden, potentially. I've always been a Girardi fan. That's just me. I know a lot of people don't like him. I don't know. I really have to sit down and look at it, like who's around. I think we're a year too short. I would have loved Joe Espada before him taking over the Astros. Joe was one of my coaches with the Marlins. The dude is brilliant. He spent years as a third base coach for the Yankees, as a bench coach too. Like, he's been around the game for a very long time. I would have loved that guy. He's actually Brandon Hyde's brother-in-law. Funny as that is. Saw a stat in the second inning today. The O's had swung at 8 pitches. Yes, Mike, that was from me. That was from me. Isn't that pathetic? 8 pitches out of the zone. What else we got here? Ron says, dead on brilliant. Appreciate that. Lefty 98 straight at his ass. Okay, so it was a lefty. That's a little bit more. Okay, I can understand that now. A lefty hitting Kowser. That's acceptable. That's a lot harder to pick up. Makes me feel a little bit better that, he just wasn't completely missing. I still can't get over this graphic. I know I've showed it already, but I mean, I already know that changeup, that green changeup belt high was to Adley. How do you miss that? I don't even care if you guess something else. It's a freaking changeup that's mid-80s. You can hit 100 miles an hour. How the hell do you not even swing at it? That's the most frustrating thing. That's when you see this graphic. These are good pitches. Some of them are good pitches. Some of them are bad pitches that get hit out of the ballpark. But when you see this graphic, this is what tells you right here that they were guessing the entire game. Because you don't let these pitches go. You just don't. You really don't. I wish I could go and find it. So this is a swinging strike. Let me compare. So this was ours. Who pitched for us today? Eflin. Eflin's got a good changeup. I can understand that. I'm looking at theirs. Can I grab theirs? I want to put theirs next up against ours. Oh, come on. It's not let me save it. I'm going to try and save it. I'm going to show this next to each other here. So this is what Baltimore swung at against what they swung at. And you guys let me know if you think that they were chasing as bad as we were. Let me make this a little bit smaller. I want to be able to put them side by side. All right, let me add another image. Sorry about this. Let's see. KC swing. All right. So this is Kansas City's swing. Does it look like they chased as much? Now, the change-ups, they're in green here. So Kansas City's on the right-hand side. Change-ups are in green, right? They're good pitches. Those were to lefties. That's a very tough pitch because you're thinking it's coming out as a fastball in the lower half. Those are good swings, in my opinion. I'm probably going to guess that these over here on the right-hand side, on the left-handed batter's box, I'm going to guess that those were, four-seam fastballs? That's a bad swing, in my opinion. Bad up here's a bad swing. So they took a couple bad swings, too. They cook a couple as well. Again, bad swings are going to happen. I'm not saying that you should never have a bad swing. You know what I mean? It's when you make it just terrible. All right, let me save this. So it looked pretty even on both sides. Looks pretty even. I'm going to show now. I'm going to go up and get our pitches taken compared to theirs, because actually these graphics look pretty similar. So that makes me feel semi better that these graphics are pretty similar, but when you look at the differences, we looked at too many fastballs. Okay, so this is their takes. Again, they took some good pitches, in my opinion. These aren't strikes. Some of these aren't strikes. And they were called strikes. So 1, 2, we'll say 3. We'll give them that one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 8 strike calls that weren't strikes. That's pretty bad, in my opinion. That's actually really bad for the umpire. So the sinker. So this one up here probably should have been hammered. So that's a bad take, in my opinion. This curveball up here, depending if it was a right-handed batter, it was also a bad take, in my opinion. But a lot of these sinkers and cutters down in here and away, those are, I mean, if it's early in the count, good takes. Good takes. But I don't know. Seeing that makes me feel a little bit better. I just feel like their approach was also better. Like they probably felt confident taking those pitches, knowing that they could hit later in the account anyway. I'm not saying that they came in here and pounded the ball over the ballpark either, because they didn't. We know they didn't. But they had better at bats. One thing I've really noticed that we didn't put any pressure on Kansas City whatsoever. You've got a 35-year-old catcher. Still throws pretty well, but he's 35. You got guys that can run. Jordan Westberg is in the upper 20% of the league in running. Gunnar Henderson in the upper 15%. Jackson Holliday in the upper 15%. Heston Kjerstad is also in the upper 20% of baseball in sprint speed. We Denver and Cedric Mullins also in the top 25 or top 20. I'm sorry. We never even tried. Did we even flinch to second base at all? Now, again, earlier I was coaching football, so if we stole a base when I didn't see it, cool. I haven't checked. But I just felt like we didn't even flinch. We didn't even try to go to second base. We didn't try hit and run. We didn't try bunting. Cedric tried to bunt by himself, but it wasn't to get anybody over. Kansas City was so relaxed out in the field. Their pitcher got to just go throw the baseball. Salvi got to call pitches, and Bobby Witt just got to play shortstop. They weren't moving around in between pitches and stuff. What did Kansas City do? They ran. They had delayed steals, and they were safe on them. They, tried to bunt. We constantly had to keep shifting the defense. They had to move in and out. They had to kind of stay on their toes. McCann and Adley had to stay ready to throw. The pitchers constantly had to keep thinking of, okay, I got a slide step here. Or can I throw a breaking ball in this count because he's going to run? We did none of that to Kansas City. None of it. They just got to go out there and just throw the ball. That's the frustrating part. Frustrating. Mike says, why do I think Adley struggled so bad in the second half? Mike, I wish I had an answer for you, man. I really do. I like Adley a lot as a hitter. I think he's a serviceable catcher. I think he was hurt, and I think Brandon Hyde lied to us, which is fine. I seen a quote before I went live here. They asked Adley what happened. Thankfully, they finally asked, and he flat out said, "I got to get my body right." That to me means that I was probably trying to play hurt. You didn't have to lie about it. It's not like other teams didn't see him struggling. Like, they knew what they were doing. His approach was still terrible. The pitches that he decided to swing at were god-awful. That doesn't change anything. But, being able to do certain things in the plate when something doesn't feel right, I get it. But his pitch selection was just downright booty sauce, too. There's no way around that. There's just none. So I don't have an answer for that other than they lied to us. More than likely. They can sugarcoat it all they want, saying he wasn't. He was a young guy, and he's going, cool. I get it. I really do. Adley Rutschman is too good of a player, too good of a hitter to go through a 3-month-long slump without someone figuring it out. And if it was the case that Adley Rutschman is just young and went through a 3-month slump and no one was able to figure it out, fire those hitting coaches. Because that's how I know that they're lying. Because those hitting coaches aren't that bad, or they wouldn't have a job. They knew what was going on. They knew how to fix that. Now, if he just couldn't fix it because he's hurt, that's all you got to say. Like, okay, Adley's hand is not 100%, and he's just doing his best up there. I don't think a single person in this fan base would have complained, other than, why are you playing him? That's just me. I don't think he, other than pitch selection, didn't have too much of a mechanical flaw, because they would have fixed it. But I don't know. Alan Young over on Facebook. Sorry about ignoring you guys. Biggest contracts coming up. Still continue to develop pitching. That is a very good point, Alan. Did you know we have yet to deploy a first-time pitcher in the big leagues that we have drafted ourselves? None have made their rookie debut. Not one pitcher that Mike Elias has drafted has made his rookie debut. That's bad. It's concerning. Povich was acquired in a trade. McDermott also acquired in a trade. So it's I'm concerned about stuff like that. Dave said Adley needs to dump that chick immediately. Get her out here, bro. 100%. And I'll be flat out honest with you. I hate to even say this. I really do. I think Adley put on some weight, and some of that could have been this injury where he couldn't, maybe do his normal routine. I don't know, but he put on some weight, and the bat did look slower. So I'm not going to sit here and say Adley Rutschman is done and they made the wrong pick. No, the Orioles did not make the wrong pick between Bobby Witt. It looks like it right now because Adley's had a rough 3 months. When you looked back at 2019 at what Adley Rutschman was doing in college at the game's highest level and who he was doing it against and how he was doing it, and you want to come back here now and tell me that was the wrong pick? It wasn't the wrong pick. Wasn't. Adley was the game's best hitter, and that's why he went number 1. And Bobby was the game's second best hitter. That's why he went number 2. You could have taken either player there, and it would have panned out because they both were that damn good. But to come back here a couple years later and say that we took the wrong guy, that's lazy in my opinion. It's tough to say because he's struggling. I mean, is he as good defensively as we hoped? No. We didn't draft him to be a defensive catcher. Like, you can get defensive catchers anywhere. They don't hit. Drafted him for his bat. I mean, he's hit 250 his rookie year, 277 the next, and he dropped down to 250 something this year. I'm going to chalk it up to an injury. I really am. And I think that Adley's going to come back. He's going to heal himself. He's going to get in a little bit better shape, and he'll be back in that 280, 285 hitter next year. And that's the guy that we drafted. The guy who walks a lot. The guy who hits 20, 25 home runs a year and drives in 90 guys. That's the guy that we'll see next year when he's healthy, in my opinion. Now, if he sucks again next year, God dang it, we made the wrong pick. But right now, Adley was fine. He was fine. He was the best hitter in the country, and we took him. And if he fails from this point forward, it's nobody else's fault but the Orioles, because he was that good. It's not like he came in and just sucked the whole time. Like, it's a 3-month thing. Very likely he's hurt. Very likely. Joe, what's up, man? Talking sports, great explanation. Thank you. Most of the year, I really do think he was hurt. Elias really drafts pitchers. I know. I really don't like that. You hated Hadley in college? Hadley hitting it. Dude, he hit so good in college. So good. Right. Yeah. If the O's would have took Witt instead of Adley, they would have not taken Gunnar. There would have been no point to take Gunnar. I mean, I shouldn't say that they wouldn't have, because when you read the article the other night, Gunnar was actually slated between 14 and 16 on Mike Elias' board. So for him to be there at 42, they might have taken him regardless, just because he was there, because he was rated so highly. So there was a chance you could have had both. But let's be honest with ourselves, right? So if we would have took Bobby Witt, right, and Gunnar was playing third, and he was playing, Bobby Witt was playing shortstop. Who's our catcher right now? Maverick Hanley. Let's be honest. Is it Maverick Hanley? Is it James McCann as our starter? Or Pedro Severino still? Dead serious. Like, we didn't have another catcher. Maverick was a 5th round pick. He's okay. Blake Hunt, the guy they acquired this year, like who would have been your starting catcher? So that's something to think about too. So, it happens. Injuries happen. People hide it. It happens. I don't know. Right. Sean Murphy had a rough year. Yep. Mike, I've heard some interesting things. It's a good question you've asked that. What have I heard about Batista, Bradish, Rodriguez, and Means? Mateo, I've heard absolutely nothing on. That's kind of a little concerning. Means, I think, is just, he's in that stage right now where he's probably doing the range of motion exercises and stuff. He's not going to touch a ball for a couple months. Rodriguez is concerning to me at this point. It's a good topic to even talk about. I'm very, very concerned about Grayson Rodriguez. Hasn't finished a complete season healthy. Not once in his career. Not 1 year yet. Has not gone and pitched 170 plus innings yet. He has had a lat injury twice. Lat injuries suck. They don't take months to heal. His do. Very concerned. He got sent home. There was reports that he was angry that he got sent home, and there's also reports that he asked to go home. So one of the two of those are true. We'll never know. There's always 3 sides to every story. So we will never truly know, but the fact that he can't make it through a season now at this point is concerning. Because now every time he grabs the ball, you're just like, okay, when is it? When is it? Granted, thankfully, it hasn't been an elbow injury, really. It hasn't really been a shoulder injury. But these lat injuries, you're missing months at a time now. Twice in your career. We're looking at 6 months total in your career for lat injuries. Again, thank the Lord that they're not elbow injuries or anything. But you miss significant time for a lat injury when you needed most. So I don't want to put a lot of stock into Grayson right now. I don't want him going into 2025 as my number one. Got the stuff. Cool. I can't trust him to stay healthy. I can't trust him to take the ball in September if the division's on the line in the Bronx. He's going to have to, next year's a big year for him. He's going to have to prove a lot. 1, to stay healthy. 2, that he's taking a maturity jump in bigger games and a stuff improvement. Because at this point now, you've had 2 injuries to your lat. Now He's still a young kid, but now we're gonna start to see a velocity drop, in my opinion, because now we've looked at a guy with multiple injuries. The velocity is going to drop. Is he a good enough pitcher when that velocity drops? That's where the Orioles really have to make a conscious effort this year of bringing in enough starters. Enough of them. Would I re-sign John Means? Yeah. Minor league deal. I'd give him $2 million. Minor league deal. Start in AAA. Take it easy. We'll see what you feel like in June. If you had a couple good outings, if you feel healthy, please don't throw 100%. One of those things. If you can hit around a little bit, I'm okay with that. Just work on locating your pitches, getting some spin in there, make sure everything feels good. I would not sign him to the major league roster, though. He needs some time to really just rest, get his arm healthy. There's a lot of things that John needs to get himself ready for before the Orioles can count on him. And I feel like if it's just a minor league deal, okay, just go do what you got to do, and we'll be here when you're ready kind of thing. That's my opinion. Mike Brown on Facebook says, they need a huge change. A mix of players this year works well in the season, not in the playoffs. I touched on that a little while ago, and I think a lot of it is their hitting approach and how they want to drive the ball. And when the humidity goes away here in Maryland, they don't hit anymore. So it's definitely possible. I could be dead wrong on it, but who knows? Not flip the ball to second base tonight. That would have been called. I think it was Westberg, Mike. I didn't see that part. I heard it on the radio. I didn't see the play. I was at football practice, though. Joe Racky says, I'm not going to be shocked next year if it's his elbow. Don't say that. Dude, I'd trade for Sonny Gray. I like Sonny. I do. I like Sonny. I would be not optimistic. Shut up, Alexa. I wouldn't trade anybody of value. I don't know if that lands you Sonny Gray, though. I want to keep on to a good bit of players. I'd be afraid to trade anybody like Dylan Beavers for Sonny Gray. I wouldn't do that. Probably should do that. He's 37 next year? I don't know. That's tough. That's really tough. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I'm disappointed. I'm probably just as disappointed as everybody else, but do you try and rebuild on Jordan? I would. Jordan Montgomery's going to opt out. I'd go give Jordan Montgomery $15 million right now. Right now. Give him an off season. Let him build himself back up. When you look at his career stats, it's like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And he's coming off a bad, so next year's got to be good, right? I don't know. Take your chance. You need a starter anyway. I would love to have a left-hander because I'm not relying on Trevor Rogers right now. I love Rogers, but I'm not relying on him. I think he's going to be better next year, but if you ask me to pick between Trevor Rogers or Jordan Montgomery, I'm going to go with the more experienced player all the time. Westberg is more of a natural third baseman. He's better defensively at third and second. When Urias played second, he looked solid. It's funny that you say that. So the first year that Jordan came up and played second, he actually graded better defensively at second than he did at third. And then this year he come up and he graded poorly at second and better at third. And a lot of that is probably just because of the reps. I'm sure he took a lot more practice reps at third. Jordan's arm isn't the greatest in the world for third base. The glove is. Jordan's got an outstanding glove. When he came out of college, he was one of the best gloves in the country. I think they like him at second. Jackson Holliday's arm is not enough for third. It works, but it's not. You would want something a little bit better. I am interested in some of the guys that are coming up in the next couple of years. Frederick Bencosme, Bencosme. He's going to be a guy that I'm going to keep a close eye on. Whether he stays here or becomes trade bait like Dario Hernandez was. Griffith Farrell, I think, is going to kind of fly through our system this year's competitive balance first-round pick. Outstanding defender. Outstanding defender. He reminds me a lot of Jose Iglesias. Great glove. Obviously, he's not like as great of a glove as Jose. Jose's out of this world. But great glove. Good enough bat. No, not a ton of power. A little. More of a contact hitter. Runs well. Just smarts. Baseball smarts. So I would look for him to kind of fly through the zone a little bit. And I don't know. I just I'm still a firm believer. I would kind of love to see Jackson Holliday in center field. I mean, Mullins, I guess, get you another year out there. The problem is now is like after Mullins, then you got Bradfield, who's playing very well. Honeycutt's going to be right there too. You got the other kid that just got drafted this year. I'm slipping his name right now. I'm sorry. He's going to be there. And then you got Fabian. Fabian's a center fielder. He's more power. He's more like Santander, more power, less average. Beavers is kind of like your all-around kind of guy. They got a lot of outfielders, but they got a lot of infielders too, and it's going to become a problem. And we're going to face another deadline where we're going to move what people are going to be thinking as the wrong player. And we're just going to have to kind of face that fact. Just hopefully the return is a little bit better this time. That's the only thing we can hope. We need players like Austin Hayes. I liked Austin. Austin just left it on the line for us all the time. Wasn't the greatest hitter in the world, but when it came to just straight up hustling, like Austin was it. Like he was your model player. Go run through the wall and catch that ball. That was Austin Hayes. Wouldn't think twice about doing it for you. That's what I always loved about Austin. Trevor Bauer on the cheap. Alan, I don't think they ever do that, to be honest. I don't think. If they wanted help, it was this year, and if they didn't do it, I really personally don't think he's ever allowed to play in major leagues again. I'm pretty sure he's blacklisted. I'm pretty sure Rob Manfred's like, hey, if you take a chance on this guy, like we're cutting your TV funding. There's no other reason he's not here. Teams don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have their funds cut. He would have been here by now. The last two games he would have been on the ball. Yeah. Rob Honeycutt. No, O'Vern. That's who I was thinking of. Honeycutt will also be here too, but I was thinking of O'Vern. So you got like a Honeycutt, Bradfield, O'Vern, Beavers, Fabian. There's some other guys that are hitting good too. Whether they ever make it or not, I really don't know. But there's several players in the next 3 years that are going to be vying for an outfield spot. It's I said at the beginning of this year, I'd hate to be Mike Elias because you're going to make a lot of wrong decisions. We saw a lot of people complain about his decisions this year. That job is not going to be easy. And it's not getting any easier this year. It's not getting any easier next year. It's not getting any easier, probably ever, because he continues to stockpile lots of talent. Kudos to him for finding it, and kudos to the lower level coaches for developing it and for it to consistently keep getting better. We look at Aberdeen this year. Aberdeen stole like 300 and some bases. They prepped guys for Bowie. Guys, when they got their call to Bowie, they came right up and they hit. Creed Willems, another catcher, came right up to Bowie and hit. Bradfield, we always heard the bat wasn't the big thing. Bradfield went to Bowie and hit. Like our lower level coaches had these guys ready to roll at every level, from Bowie to AAA, from single A to Bowie. Like kudos to them, and they're continuing to do it. They're going to do it with the next wave of guys. So like this organization just keeps churning out guys that are going to be ready. And Mike Elias is going to just sit here and just be like, what the hell do I do? And you're going to have more situations like Kyle Stowers where a lot of us feel like the particular player probably should get a little bit more playing time. You're not going to have room for him. So they're going to go up and down. They're not going to play when they're here kind of thing. It's going to be a lot of that over the next 3 years. Or they just trade all of it for 1 or 2, 3, 4 big guys. I don't know. If they continue to keep drafting well, the hell with it. Send them all off and then just stockpile it all after that. I don't care. Do something. Josenberger. I was like, yeah. Tavian Josenberger. That kid can fly too, man. And the bat started getting better when he went to Bowie. It was the same kind of thing. There's just tons of guys. You need to steal some Tampa Bay front office coaches. Yes. I'm on that, Alan. I'm on that. Tampa Bay has, back when I played, so we're talking back in 08, 09, 10, Tampa and St. Louis actually were like the top two organizations when it came to developing pitching. Now, St. Louis has kind of fallen off a little bit. Tampa never has. And what was funny is they had some of the most unorthodox like teachings, like how to come set and stuff. Like, remember people used to kind of like laugh at like James Shields and like how he would come set and stuff. And the whole Craig Kimbrell thing, that was from a Tampa Bay coach. They come up with the weirdest shit, and it's effective for these guys. It's weird how it works. It's really weird because no other organization's been able to replicate it, and it's been, 15 years now since I've played? Or it was when I first started playing, like, and they're still doing it. And it's not even the same guys. It's just their organization philosophy, and the new guy comes in and they adopt it and it just works and they just keep it rolling and they just churn out pitching after pitching after pitching. It's awesome to watch, honestly. Yeah, Nick, I 100% agree with you. Pitching was fine this series. The bats died, and I said it on the radio. This team was only going to go as far as their pitching, and their pitching carried them. I did not expect, and I'm sure all of you are the same way, did not expect the offense to just fall on their face. They were embarrassing. There's no other way to sugarcoat that one. Can I still hit with runners in scoring position? Joe, I don't know if I ever could. I don't know if I ever could, to be dead honest with you. I don't remember. I had to go back and look at my stats. I wasn't a power hitter, though. I'm a 6'4", 200-pound guy that couldn't hit the ball over the fence. I was a speedster at that size. I'd like to hit the ball in the gap and run. It's funny is we complained about the Orioles home run or nothing approach. We're talking 2009. That was the same approach that was pitched to me in spring training at 19 years old. Hey, you're 6'4", 220. We want you to hit the ball over the fence. Changed my whole swing. I hit 285 my rookie year, just hitting the ball in the gaps. Hitting hard line drives between first and second. That wasn't good enough. They wanted the ball over the fence. And when I tell you they changed everything, like I went from a long leg kick to like standing straight up and down and then squatting. And that was it. And then like not taking any leg kick, swinging up on the ball, like drastically changed everything. And so it's not just like a new age, like launch angle thing. Like they've been trying to, they switch certain guys around depending on their body style and their swing type. They've been doing that forever. Just sucks when you see it. Oh, man. Joe Musgrove for the Padres left tonight's game with right elbow tightness. That sucks, man. That really sucks. Sorry to break news there to you guys. You just want to win a playoff game? Bro, Nick, I know, man. I'm 2-4. I am 2-4 in my lifetime in playoff games now. One was in 1996, and the other one was in 2014. I went to game one against the Tigers. But since then, well, not even since then, but so I lost in 97 when I was there. So it might be in 2-5. 97, 12. I went there against the Yankees when Raul Ibanez hit the home run, that effing guy. And then, what was it? 6? No. I went to the 2 last year, so that's 4. And then 1 this year. So, yeah, I'm 2-5. So, I will no longer ever be stepping foot in Camden Yards during the postseason. So, y'all can thank me later. I will save my money. I'll sit my ass on the couch, and I'll pray for a win, even though it didn't work tonight. But I'm not going to put that juju in Camden Yards anymore. Maybe I'll still go hang out at Pickles, though. Perez, Dominguez, and Cologne, all free agents. Which one do I re-sign? Danny. Danny will be 38, though. He'll be 38. Dominguez, I bet you they probably extend like a $3 to $4 million offer to. I feel like he has some good stuff I feel like they could play with. Perez is a question mark, in my opinion. He has good stuff. At times, he is very good. And then there's also times where he gets off a ton of soft contact and he lets guys on, and then he walks a guy, and then he has to come out of the game, and somebody else lets up his runs. You never get a consistent Perez anymore, not like 2022. I'm not 100% sure they re-sign him being left-handed, because they had, 5 or 6 lefties in the pen here in the postseason. I think he's an expendable guy. We'll see, though. Dan says, who's my pick to win it all? I'm going to go with the Padres just because my cousin plays for him. That's other than that. I honestly, other than the Padres, maybe the Mets, and then I probably won't watch. I get a little shitty about it when my teams don't play anymore. I don't watch. Do a show from there, man. That'd be cool. From Pickles? I wish they would let me. Did the Mets end up losing? Nick, don't tell me they lost. I hope they didn't lose. Dude, I got 166 of you guys watching right now. Most of that I'm pretty sure is on Twitter, but that's pretty wild of you guys. 151 of you on Twitter. Shout out to all you guys on Twitter. I appreciate you. I appreciate every one of y'all. Yeah, it's good Lord, it's 11 o'clock. Y'all been letting me ramble for this long without telling me to shut the hell up? What's wrong with y'all? How long have we even been going? An hour. Damn. All right, well, I hate to break it to you guys, but I do have to get up at 4 o'clock for work. Maybe 4:30. It's 5 to 3 in the 8th. Damn, it was 3 to 1 for a while, wasn't it? That sucks. Anyway, I have to get up at 4:30 and go to work. Yay me. Yay me. But you know what? This was a fun recap. It's not fun. What am I even saying? It's not fun. It was stupid. It was stupid. I hated this series. I hate baseball. I'm going to complain about it for 2 days, and I'll be back with useless stats that some of you guys like to read on Twitter. Some of y'all like to read it, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. But I am going to bed. I will be back on eventually. This was the first time I've ever been able to actually dual stream to Twitter, so I'm really glad that it worked. And I've never streamed to Facebook before. So I'm really, really excited that Facebook worked. That's really cool for me. So I'm going to go to bed. I appreciate every one of you, and I'll catch you later. If you are on Facebook or Twitter, I also am on YouTube right now. Same handle name, Pigtown Sports. I do a lot of different breakdowns, stats stuff. We're going to start incorporating a podcast here with some friends, Tim and Matt. They run Foul Ball Talk. They've asked to use my channel to do that. I'm extending that offer out to them. So come on over, check it out. Let's talk baseball. I might dabble into football, but honestly, I have really shitty football takes. So who even knows? Who even knows? Mike, I'm using Streamlabs right now. I was looking into YardStream or StreamYard or something like that, and it's the same price, but this one allowed me to do 1080 without paying as much, if that makes sense. And I also can do TikTok here. I need to figure out my TikTok stream key because I want to get the vertical going too. So, Nick, is it just baseball right now? Yes, right now. I might dabble into football. My football takes are a little wild because I'm not the biggest Harbaugh fan in the world, and I'm a big Lamar fan. So some people think I'm just retarded. I didn't mean to say that out loud. Some people think I'm crazy, which is fine because I am. But I'm going to sit here and keep rambling if y'all keep talking. So I got to go. I'll catch you later. I thank every one of you guys. Let's go, O's. Sucked, but we'll be back. I'm going to do plenty of breakdowns on YouTube. I'm going to tell you why it's not all doom and gloom. And we'll be ready to go